Hello and welcome to episode 8 of the Under Eagle Mountain Making Podcast. Hello, my name's Laura and this is my podcast where I like to talk about all the things that I make. Mostly it is knitting and there is a lot of knitting today. There's only one non-knitting thing. But I do also like to sew and to dye naturally, both fabric and wool. And recently I've taken up wheel thrown pottery, although I'm still very much a learner. So there's a few different things, but today is mostly knitting. So welcome, especially if you haven't been here before. As I say, my name's Laura and I'm based in the northwest of England. Normally I do this during the week when it is only me in the house. We are now into summer holidays, so you probably will be able to hear some other things happening. I record this in my sewing room, which actually isn't a room like a normal room with a door. It's a space at the top of the landing on our first floor. It's a really good space, but it is totally open to the landing and the stairs and the rest of the house. So you'll probably hear children. I have 4 children, a girl and 3 boys, and they are aged between 14 and 5 years. So there'll be footsteps, there'll be doors banging, there might be "Mama, I need you," so there might be a bit of stop-start on this one. But that's just the way it is. I wanted to film because in about 10 days we're going away. We're going on holiday for 3 weeks. We're going to France. It's the first time we've been on a big foreign family holiday, and we're going sort of out in the countryside, and the lady that we're renting off says that there is internet, but it's not brilliant. So you can check your emails, for example, but she said you couldn't stream telly, like no internet telly. So I'm not sure that I'll be able to upload to YouTube while I was out there. I was thinking it'd be quite nice to do an episode whilst I was out there, but I don't know, maybe I'll record it and I'll upload it when I get back. But either way, after this one, there's probably going to be a bigger gap than usual between episodes. So I thought I'd best do one, quickly sneak one in, and just so you know that I'm not disappeared off the face of the earth. The other reason I really wanted to do one today was because I've got a special finished object which I need to put in the post tomorrow. So I wanted to make sure that I showed it off, because if you have been here before, you'll know that this has been a little bit of a saga, or if you follow me on Instagram. My dad's wife, so my stepmom, is turning a significant age this year. I don't think she'll mind me saying she's going to be 60. And I asked her if she would like, at the beginning of the year, I asked her if she'd like a jumper knitting, and she said yes please. And we had a very happy hour or so going through lots of different patterns, but she kept coming back to this one particular pattern, and a little secret voice inside me was saying, please don't pick that. And of course she did. But you know, at the end of the day, you want to do something that they really want and not something that you want to knit. So here we are. I knitted, it's called The Frost, and it's a pattern by Emily Foden, and it's in her book Knits About Winter. I think you can get it as an individual pattern on Ravelry, if all my moaning about it hasn't put you off. It's a sweater. It's knitted mostly in one strand of mohair, but it has these marled sections. I'll put a picture up of my finished object. Can you hear them? So that you can see in these bands that are 2 strands of different colours of mohair marled together. It's knit in pieces, so front, back and 2 sleeves, and then seamed together. It was hard work. It wasn't a particularly tricky pattern, and it was pretty well written, so it wasn't that. It was just one strand of mohair is really slippy. You knit it on 4mm needles, so it's not like it's on tiny needles. It's a really light and airy gauge, but it was just really slippy. And because of the marling, you had 3 balls going at any one time, so you know, mohair grabs onto each other, so it got really tangled. I was untangling after every single row, so it just felt really slow going. And whilst I was knitting it, I didn't think it looked right. I didn't know if it was me. I was on gauge, but I kept thinking I'd done something wrong, because the proportion from under your armpit up, the yoke looked really long. I mean, it was significantly longer than the body portion of the front and back pieces, and it just looked weird. And then the arms, the raglan portion of the arms, so the bit from the top of the shoulder to under the armpit, also looked really long. And I'd added length to the main part of the arm because we measured, she said, oh, I've got really long arms, and we measured, and they were significantly longer than the underarm measurement of the pattern. And then I thought I'd made a mistake, because I thought the armpit was going to be dropped quite low, and I don't know, it just all looked really wrong. So I had no faith in it looking nice. But actually, now that I've seamed it all up together, it doesn't look as oddly shaped, and it looks fine. I think it's going to be fine. I think it's going to be nice. So all that to say, I have finished it. This is it. So there's it's a bit tricky to see, really. I'll hold it a bit closer. Can you see? It's really light and airy. I mean, you can see it's see-through. There you go, that's nice. You can see the marling detail there. I think I'll have put a picture up, because you can see the difference in colour and the shape and everything much better than me holding it up. But I am so relieved. I'm relieved to have it done. I'm relieved that it doesn't look a total disaster, and I think that she's going to like it. I hope that she's going to like it. I hope it does fit well. We're actually going to be away over a birthday, which is why I'm posting it to her. So I'm going to make her take a photo of herself in it and send it to me, so that I can just double check that it is nice. So, sorry, we had an interruption. My second finished object is a Leith. Can you see? So it's a pattern by Rebecca at the Crea Bayer. I have knitted a version before. It's a slightly modified version because it has no stripes, it has shorter sleeves, and I did a ribbed button band. The pattern actually has a double knit button band. I wanted this to be a bit more like a t-shirt that I could wear, and I think I can. I think it looks nice. Again, I'll put a photo or a little video or something of me wearing it. I am, on the whole, pretty happy with it. I do think it's possibly a little bit short. Like, looking at it here, it looks really nice. It looks exactly how I wanted it to look, but it is a little bit short, I think. I did actually measure it against my Tolster tee, which I really like the length of, but I think the yoke portion on the Tolster tee must be longer, so that the overall... Hello, excuse me. My husband has very kindly brought me a cup of coffee, and now he's sniggering at me because I'm essentially just talking to myself. So the overall length of the top must be longer because the yoke portion is longer, and I didn't think to measure that. I just measured from the underarm down, but this underarm is a bit more fitted. So yeah, I really like the way it looks now, but it is a little bit too short. I had it at knit night. I was just finishing off the button band, and I tried it on over my dress, and everybody was like, oh, that looks really nice, like it's not too short. And I think over a dress or something, it sits exactly on my waist, on my natural waist, so I think it will look really nice. But I think with a lot of my trousers, they sit just a tiny bit below that natural waist, so I think I could probably only wear it with high-waisted things. But there we are. That's just what it is. And even if I'd wanted to, I couldn't knit it any longer because I really was playing yarn chicken significantly, to the point which that's one of the reasons I decided to do a ribbed button band, was because I just didn't have enough. I knew I would not have enough to do a double knit button band. I'm quite pleased actually as well, because I had no idea how many stitches I need to pick up. For some reason in my brain, I thought I was aiming for 173. I don't know where that number came from, but it must have been from a different pattern somewhere. It just stuck. And I picked up 3 out of every 4, more or less, all the way around, and actually ended up with 177, so it was a pretty good guess. And it does lie really nice and flat. There isn't too much anywhere, and it's not pulling anywhere because there's too few, so I was very pleased to get that right first go. But I had to actually, at craft group the other night, I had to unravel the swatch. I've used about a third of the swatch to do the last row of ribbon and to do the cast off. So even if I'd wanted the body to be significantly longer, it couldn't have been, because it just didn't. That's it. That's all the yarn I've got left. So I mean, that's good. I feel really great about using everything up. It's nice to not have those little annoying like half balls left over. So yeah, it's a not a fail, not an absolute home run, but I'm pretty pleased with it. It looks nice. It feels nice. I didn't like knitting with the yarn. It was I should say it's Rauma Garn Petunia, which is 100% cotton yarn, and this is the Leith pattern by Rebecca at the Crayobeia, but with those modifications. The yarn was really splitty, so like even when you're knitting, every now and again one of the plies would snap, so you'd get like a little bit sticking out, or it was dead easy when you were knitting, like if you just not, if you were knitting in front of the telly or chatting to somebody or whatever, it was very easy to miss one of the plies because they separated really easily, which I found a bit annoying, and I didn't think I was going to like it. I thought it would end up looking a bit scruffy, but it feels very nice. It's really soft. It's quite drapey. It feels really lovely to wear. So having thought the whole time through I'm not going to using this again, I think I would knit with it again. Actually, I think I would recommend it. It feels lovely on. So yeah, so I've had a surprise success with my frost, and it's okay with this, quite happy. And then my last finished object, which is not 100% finished because it became obvious that it was a fail. It was not right. I said last time, if you watched the last episode, I had plans to knit a jumpsuit called the Caladium jumpsuit. The details are in the last podcast. And I am going to make another one, so the details will be in a future podcast, I'm sure. I'm saying this because I can't quite remember the name of the lady that made the pattern. It's called the Caladium jumpsuit, and it was like an all-in-one, no fastenings, just kind of pull it up and over, comfy slouchy jumpsuit. But the pattern page says that there was loads and loads of positive ease, and that you could size down if you wanted slightly less positive ease, but you just had to make sure that the smallest part of the pattern, which was the bust portion, went over your hips. So I picked a size that would accommodate my hips, and actually I don't have much of a difference. I've like just slightly less than an inch between my full bust and my hips, so I went for one. I kind of didn't think about having ease around the bust. I was just looking at that hip measurement, and I don't think there's enough ease around it. It kind of just sits kind of snugly. From the arms are quite low. Let me show you. So this is the bit that sits across your bust. It's a very low V. So you could just wear it with like a little crop top type thing underneath. Or you can wear it with a t-shirt underneath. I wanted to wear it with this cardigan over the top. That was the inspiration for knitting the cardigan. And look how cute it would look. But this bit, which is the tightest bit, is like exactly the size of my bust. So when you put it on, it does just pull a little bit. I think I've got a visitor. Bear with me 1 minute. Sorry, it's going to be a bit stop-start. Yeah, it does fit. I can get it on, but it just looks like it's pulling slightly. And then this was made worse by the fact that I didn't pay proper attention to when I was laying the pattern out. The grain line matched with the inside leg, like the straight inside leg. And I'd kind of looked at the pattern placement on the instructions page, and but I didn't pay enough attention, and I actually lined the pattern up with the outside leg along the grain. I should have obviously measured from the selvage to the grain line. That's what you're meant to do. But I thought, oh, it's just straight. So as long as it's in line with that leg, it'll be fine. But actually the outside leg kicks out at an angle because it's got a flared leg. And I just did it wrong. So it's turned out that the fabric is more or less, not quite, but it's more or less on the bias. And so when you wear it, the fabric kind of pulls like that way, all the way down. And so those two things combined means that the fabric is kind of racking that way. It just doesn't look right. It just doesn't look great. And I'd sort of tried it on before I'd hemmed it, which is why it's not 100% finished, because I decided at the minute it's not worth hemming because I can't wear it. I tried it on my daughter, which is what I normally do when something is just like a tiny bit too small for me. She's kind of like a size below me, but she's quite a different shape. She's got a bigger bust, and she's got kind of a much bigger, she's got a smaller waist, so she's much more hourglass, you know. She's got a bigger bust and hip measurement and a much smaller waist, so it didn't suit her either really, and she didn't really fancy it. She said, it's not my style really, Mum. Which I suppose is fair enough, she's 14 as opposed to 43. But I was wondering if I could cut the top off and make trousers to kind of make some use of it, and maybe I can. The problem with that is that the top's here and the top of the pocket is there, so there's like an inch and a bit, which is not in itself, like before the pocket, which is not in itself enough for a waistband. So I'm going to see, I've got some fabric left. I might have to like piece a waistband, but if I could do that and put a waistband on top, then it might turn out to be quite a nice pair of trousers. Other than that, it'll get chopped up and used for like project bags or patchwork or whatever. But I'm so sad. It would have been so lovely. It would have been a really nice summer outfit. But as I say, I do still like the pattern. I've got some like fairly lightweight denim, kind of like a mid-blue denim, not too heavy, not too stiff, which I thought might be nice, that I could then, like an autumn one, or, you know, I could layer it up with tights or jumpers or whatever. So I'd have a look. I'm going to make a mock-up because I don't want to mess up again and waste more fabric. So what I might do is try make the top in the next size up and then grade it back down into the bottom half in this size. I think this was like the second size up, so I think I'd take the top from the third size up and kind of see if I can match the two. And if that doesn't work, I'll just make it all in the size 3, or the third size. It's not called size 3, in the third size, and just have a bigger one, which is fine for a more sort of autumny winter type fabric. I've also got some very dark brown but lightweight corduroy that might make a nice one too. So, you know, watch this space. Might have one on the go for autumn. So that's my finished objects, kind of mix of successes. I'm just going to have a little mouthful of this coffee that my lovely husband bought me, and then I'll move on to whips. So my first whip, really, I shouldn't have started it. It's when I was procrastinating about seaming the frost and picking up the stitches for the button band on the Leith, but I've done both of those now. I feel like a huge sense of release. So I started these the first set. If you've seen one of my previous videos, I was talking about the projects that I'm planning on taking to France with me when we go on holiday, and I'm gonna knit socks mainly. I'm gonna take 3 separate sock projects. I'm not thinking that I'll get 6 socks knitted, if I'm honest, but you know, here's hoping. So I've started the first one. This is just the Rye pattern by Tin Can Knits. This is going to be the first time I've knitted with the sock yarn that I dyed. It's 100% Corriedale high twist, so no nylon, no plastic sock yarn. I got it from Laxton's Mill undyed, and then I dyed it. Last year I dyed 12 skeins in 12 different colours, and like each colour was meant to represent like a calendar month to me, and this was the July one, so appropriate that I am doing it now. I started it in July, and it was meant to look like a mussel shell. The colours are a bit sort of muted and a bit dulled. I don't know. On the camera, they're paler and there's more variation. So they kind of, it was dipped in indigo, in logwood, and then into an iron bath. But each time I dipped it, I twisted it slightly differently, so different bits got different dips, and there's the odd bit that doesn't have any colour on it at all. This is the ball, so it's like blues and greys and sort of a very soft lilac-y, sort of dusty purpley colour, and it was meant to represent a mussel shell, like, you know, the inside of a mussel shell, and I'm quite pleased with how it turned out, and I'm pleased with how it's knitting up. I love the way variegated yarns look in the skein, and even like when wound up in balls, I think they look beautiful, but often then when you knit them up, they are like micro stripy, and I just don't like them. And I think because there's so much variation, this kind of looks less stripy. My daughter said it looked like a stormy sea, so that was quite nice. I can go for that. So I went for the Tin Can Knits. That's, if you don't know, Tin Can Knits are pattern designers, and they have lots of different things, but they have this collection called the Simple Collection, where all the patterns are free, and there's like a basic sock and a basic mitten and a basic cat and a basic sweater, and it gives you lots of information, and it's like an instruction how-to type for basic garments. It's really, really good. There is actually like a garter stitch panel down the front of the socks, which I never do. I just wanted a plain sock, and the adult small, which I think is a 60 stitch sock, fits me really well. In fact, normally it fits me with a little bit of room, but they recommend knitting on a 2.75 mil needle, I think that's right, and I'm knitting on a 2.5 needle, so the ribbon was on 2 mil and the main body is going to be on a 2.5, so a tiny bit smaller. I think with no nylon sock wool, the key to kind of not having holes is making sure that the yarn has got very high twist, and then I think having quite a tight gauge, so there's less movement, less rubbing, and the yarns should therefore be a bit more durable. So that is my plan. That's the first pair. I don't want to do too much on that though, because I kind of don't, it's meant to be my holiday project, so I thought, since I finished this and I finished the frost, I don't want to start another big project before we go away. So I actually went and picked up an old whip, and it is old. It's kind of, I think it was February 2022 when I started it, I seem to remember. And it is, I'm going to just cover up a bit of the pattern. It's this pattern. It's called the Growth Ring Shawl by Amy Usling, and it's from this Making magazine, number 8, Forest. I've made quite a lot of things, so I've made these actually as well. I've made quite a lot of things out of this particular issue of Making magazine. It's a really nice one, and it's like a big shawl that's a circular shawl, so you knit from the centre and increase out in a circle, and most of it is knit, 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 and then every now and again you do a purl round, so it's meant to look like the growth rings inside a tree. I started it, there's a bit of a story. I started it in knitting it out of this yarn, which my husband bought for me. There's a very long story about why he bought it for me, but bought for me in a charity shop, and it was a big bag full. There was loads of it. I didn't weigh how much there was, probably should, but I think it's somebody's first or very early attempt at hand spinning, so you can see the difference there. There are some bits that is so thin it's like sewing thread, you know, it's like there, look, it's tiny, tiny, tiny thread, and then other bits that are super fluffy, like, you know, not even spun at all really. So it's very, very variable. So I don't know, I guess you could have knitted a garment in it and it would just look quite kind of organic, but I thought that organic nature would be really good for this shawl. At the minute I'm not sure ultimately that I would wear it as a shawl. I want to wait and see until it's finished and blocked and washed, basically, because I don't spin, but from what I understand, once you've spun all your yarn up on your bobbins, you then wind it up into skeins and you wash it. I don't think that's happened. I think it's gone straight off the bobbin and wound into balls. It is so sticky, the yarn. It's absolutely full of lanolin. I find that really difficult to say. It's like, it's really sticky. It's actually quite nice when you knit with it. Your hands are really moisturised at the end of it, but you know, it sticks on the needles and everything. I don't think it's been washed at all, or if it has, it's not been well washed. So as a result, it's quite stiff. I think once it's been washed, it will be really, I think it will really soften up. So then it would be nice for a shawl. But if not, I thought it'd be nice on the back of a chair, like for a blanket, or I could even back it with some, like an old woolen blanket, you know, like a boiled wool blanket, and it would make quite a nice rug. It's not very easy to show you really, because the cord is way too short, but that's where I'm at. So it's quite big. At the minute it looks like a big, like, jellyfish. One of my boys keeps putting it on as like a massive hat. It looks like a mushroom. But you see, you can see the I can hear my husband. I don't know what he's saying. You can see where it's big and fluffy, kind of on the purl rows. It really accentuates those purl rows. So I do actually really like it. And it just shows you there is like a right project for every yarn, or a right yarn for every project, or whatever. So I don't know who spun it, and I don't know if the person... Oh, more noise interruptions. Can you hear my singing washing machine again? If you've been here before, this is a regular feature. I'm very sorry. Hang on a minute. My husband is also lathing in the cellar or doing some sort of woodwork with the children, so there is a lot of noise. I'm really sorry if this all comes through. I hope it just kind of adds to, you know, an atmosphere of busy family life. Anyway, so yeah, I hope whoever spun it, I don't know if it was them that gave it to the charity shop, or if they gave it to somebody who gave it away, or if, I don't know, they died maybe, or they moved abroad and like somebody didn't know what to do with it. So anyway, it went to the Age Concerned Settle, and a rather fraught and fractious start to a family holiday. My husband spotted it and bought it as a way of sort of placating me, because he'd made a few cock-ups in the run-up, like in the morning of that day, and I was in a very grumpy mood, and made worse by the fact that when we sat down for lunch on this particular day, the babe, who was about, then he was about 2, like, as the lady put the plate of food in front of him, he just went bleh, and like vomited onto the plate. And I was thinking, oh my gosh, this is going to be a long, long week's holiday. And as I was sitting in the car thinking, I'm not sure I want to do this, he said, look what I bought you to cheer you up. And you know what? It did cheer me up. So yeah, whoever did that, I'm really grateful, and I think I'm going to get like a nice thing out of it. So thanks. Right, I also have quite a few plans now. Funnily enough, like the kids have broken up from school. We've had a week of really, like their last week at school, it's been really nice weather. It's not quite as warm today. It's the Sunday today, so Sunday the 20th. But it is still nice. You know, I've had dresses on this week with no tights. I've worn my sandals for the first time this year. Like I feel like it's an actual summer now, which I haven't really felt that much this year, like lots of people. And the kids are off and we're getting ready to go to France, and so like summertime is properly kicking in, and my thoughts obviously have turned to autumn and all the things that I want to knit in autumn. You know, I think it's because I'd finished the two big projects I wanted to finish before I went away, the frost and this. They were the things that I really wanted to knit whilst before we went on holiday. And so when we come back, it'll be like the end of August, like they'll have 1 week before the kids go back to school. And then you're into, that is September. And then it's just, you know, autumn happens. So my mind is turning to what I might like to knit when I get back. And I'm doing a bit of sort of preparation for that. Top of that list is my heirloom quilt cardigan, which one of the very early episodes I talked about. It's a really lovely pattern, and you knit these like quilt squares, like stars, individually, and then you seam them up and you pick up for the arms and the button band and so on and so forth. I'm knitting mine in Woolly Mammoth Fibre Company DK Hearth. Emma is a natural dyer and produces lots of really beautiful colours, and I kind of sort of acquired a few at a time over a number of months to get enough to knit the project, and I was doing really well. I've got about 2/3 of my star blocks done, and then I don't know if something else took over. So I am taking those to France with me as well, because I think a nice small woolly project will be okay if it's warm. But when I get back, that's like, I really want to get on with that. But I also have seen a few other things that I might like to knit. And so I've been doing some swatching because I don't want to start anything. I'm just going to do a bit of swatching. So this is my first swatch. And this is Noro Madara. I've had this a while, squirreled away. And it's one of those yarns that, you know, it feels really special. And so you're a bit nervous about knitting something with it, because you want to make sure you use up all of it, and you want to make sure it's like worthy of it. You don't want to mess it up. I mean, it's not like the fabric that now it's cut, you know, whatever that's a mistake, but whatever I do with it has to be in the pieces that big. At least with yarn you can unravel it, so it's not so bad, but still I'd rather get it right first time. So this is colour number, I've got it, number 15, which I think is called Geisha, and it's like a really soft lilac colour, and then it's got flashes of red and blue and green and yellow and a bit of brown, and I just think it's very beautiful. And I've been like humming and hawing different things that I could make with it. I was going to make a Felix. It's a worsted weight yarn, but I think it's a bit thick and thin, and I think really I've got some here. Sorry, a bit of crinkling. I finally succumbed and put all my wool into plastic bags, you know, those Ziploc plastic bags. I hadn't done because I liked them being like in my cupboard and looking beautiful, but I've had so many moths in the house this year, like small moths. I couldn't 100% say they were wool moths, and I have put out some of those, you know, pheromone hormone traps to just kind of assess if there was a wool moth problem. And they've not caught anything, but I don't know if that's because they're not wool moths or just because they're no good. I don't know. So I'm absolutely panicked. There's so much wool in my house, like not just my knitting yarn, all the things that I've knitted, but then I've got like a vintage woolen coat that I love. We've got woolen rugs, like our duvets and pillows have got woolen rather than polyester. And yeah, I mean, we could just feed an army of wool moths in our house, and I'm so panicked about it. So I thought, oh, I can do some things. I can protect my yarn, and I put it in plastic bags. So sorry for the crinkling. Anyway, so you can see it's a single ply if you don't know this yarn, and again it is a bit thick and thin, a bit of variation in the tightness of the spin, but I don't mind that. I think that gives it a nice bit of texture to like a stockinette project, and I think you would only want to do a stockinette project really with a wool like a yarn like this. I don't think you'd want anything personally with sort of any fancy texture or anything, because I think the speckledy colour would take away from that somewhat. So I was thinking about doing a Felix cardigan, and I still might. I'd have to swatch on a 5mm needle, I think, for that. I've done a Felix jumper before, but not a cardi, but I think it's a 5mm needle. This was swatched on a 4.5, and I was thinking of doing a cloud sweater by Petite Knit. I've only done one Petite Knit pattern before, which was the teddy bear sweater that I did for my little boy for his 3rd birthday. And it, you know, it was a good pattern. It was nice to knit. It's still going great guns. He still wears it. It's stretched out a bit around the neck, but I think that's to do with the softness of the yarn. And I quite like, whenever she brings out a new pattern, I often think, oh, that's nice. But I've never really been drawn to knit one. I don't know why. Just the way it is. But I was looking at, on Ravelry, everybody probably knows this, but it was like a revelation to me. You can type in a yarn and then do a search, and it brings up all the projects that people have knitted using that yarn. So I thought that was excellent. And a project came up that was a cloud sweater knitted in this same colourway, and the woman just looked lovely. It was so nice. No, she used 5 skeins, or I think she had a bit left over, and she did say she knitted hers a bit longer than in the pattern, and the sleeves were long. They came down to her fingers, she said. I've only got 4 skeins, but I don't know, I could make a smaller size, or I could just make it a bit cropped. It's one of those that you start at the back and come round, and then eventually join under the arms and knit down. So I think once I'd joined, I'd knit the sleeves, and then I'd just knit for as much yarn as I had. And also, a lot of people that have used this yarn says that it really grows when you block it. So if it was a bit short in the body, I could knit the sleeves a little bit short, and then if the body was a bit short, I think you'd get extra length from the growth when you washed it and blocked it. So I think I'd be all right. So I think that's what this was swatched for. I have not yet checked. This dried this morning, so I've not yet checked to see whether it's the right gauge. But that was my thinking. So that's one. And the other one is this swatch. As you can see, this was done on 4mm. I'll hold it a bit close so you can see. This is actually 2 yarns held together. There is a strand of a woolly knit yarn and a silk mohair. The crinkle again, get the other bag out. So the silk mohair is this one, Onion Silk and Kid Mohair. And I bought that specifically. It's really nice onion mohair. It's 40% silk, I think, mulberry silk, and it's super shiny, which I really like. And then this is the woolly knit. It's the woolly knit that comes, sometimes it comes on it's called British Wools, I think it's called, and it comes on 500-gram cones. But I actually bought this at Yarndale 2 years ago, which is a little wool show, yarn show in Skipton every September. And I bought it in big, like 200-gram hanks, and I think I got 3 of that. I think I might have even got 4. I don't know what I was thinking. What am I going to knit that needs 800 grams of fingering weight wool? I don't know. Maybe I only bought 3, and so I've got 600 grams. So, like, it became bigger than that. That was the 200 grams, but I've wound off 2 balls that size. And it's really lovely. It's like a goldeny colour. I think it might be called Harvest. I don't know. It's like a goldeny colour, but it's got like flecks of sort of rusty reddy bits in and then dark browny bits in. I don't know if that's showing up really. It's really nice, and the mohair goes really well. The silk is quite a bit paler than the mohair fluffy bits. I'm not doing a very good job. So you can see those kind of paler bits, but I think because it's a bit tonal, it's not, one solid colour. I don't mind that so much. I'm not entirely sure what I'm thinking of for this. I did a swatch on 4mm needles because it's the two held together kind of makes a DK weight yarn, which is, commonly knitted on 4mm. So I thought I would do that and then count up what my gauge is and see where that gets me. I did have a couple of things. There's a jumper dress. I think it's called the Estrelle. It was on Good Knits. She has a podcast here on YouTube, and she was doing like last autumn she did she's just done like a summer knitted dress roundup, and in the autumn she did a similar one for an autumn winter one, and this jumper dress was featured on that. So I just had a quick look while I was watching the podcast, and I just knit the swatch. It was knit on 4mm needles, so I just knit up a swatch. So I might do that. Or Petite Knit Again has got a cardigan, I think, is it the No Frills cardigan, which is a really long cardigan. It's got no buttons, I don't think. It does have patch pockets, and I think her sample goes all the way to the floor, but a lot of people knit it kind of like back of the knee length or mid-calf length. I think because I've got so much of the fingering weight, I could probably do that. I probably have to buy some more of the mohair. I've only got 100 grams of the mohair, which is like just shy of 1,000 metres. So I'd probably have to buy a bit more of that, but that'd be okay. I don't think there'd be a big enough change in colours between lots that when you were marling it that you'd notice the difference. So I don't even know if that's knit on 4mm needles. I've not even looked. There was very minimal planning going into this, but a little bit of planning. Like, I just wanted something to knit basically out in the sunshine the other day. So that's where I've started with 4mm needles, and I do like the fabric and I love the colour, and it's nice. Yeah, so they're my 2 swatches. They're my 2 main plans, and as I said, I'm gonna give that jumpsuit another go. I don't know, have you got any super duper DK weight 4mm knitted jumper patterns or whatever? Throw those ideas my way and I will have a look. The only other thing that I was thinking of, I think I'm just looking at my list of things I wanted to say. The other thing I was thinking of is a while ago in one of these episodes I talked about the different knit-alongs or make-alongs that I've joined in. I've done a few this year, so I always participate in Mimi's at Yarn Chicks Magic 3 make-along, which I really enjoy, and in the past I have won like a few things in her make-along, and I took part in the Tulsa Time one that Rebecca at the Craybay is doing. Andrea Mowry had a March to May knit along that I took part in, and Merryweather Knitting here on YouTube is running one called the Botanical Make Along, which is like anything that's inspired by plants. And I did actually win something in that too, which was really nice. I've got a code for a knitting pattern, like a knitting pattern of my choice from a designer. So probably in the next podcast I'll show the things I'm thinking of, and maybe get your help in choosing something to knit from there. But I really like knit-alongs, and I was thinking, should I do a knit-along? And I have had an idea for what I might like to do. It would be very casual. It would be very low-key. It would be very friendly and welcoming. So I would be really happy with people using whips, and I would be really happy for double dipping with other knit-alongs or make-alongs. It will be quite open, so it won't be a specific pattern or a specific garment or object. I think it'd be quite open. It would probably, I'm thinking it would be a nice thing to do, like a cozy thing to do over the autumn months. So it probably runs beginning of September to the end of November, something like that, and then it wouldn't get in the way of Christmas. I can't say it too loud, but knitting for that time of year. So I just thought I might gauge a bit of interest. It's more about the community and being able to look what other people are doing and backwards and forwards and getting ideas off other people. But there would be some prizes or presents. I don't know. Prizes makes it sound like you're picking somebody wins because they're the best. It's not necessarily always like that, is it, in knit-alongs? But there would be some as a way of saying thank you for joining in. And also, like I say, I've won a couple of times and I've won some really lovely special stuff, and it makes you feel I don't know, happy and excited when you do win. So there would be something, and it would probably be something that I'd had a hand in the making of. So I might dye some wool, maybe a nice sock set to give away, or maybe I would sew something small, something useful or practical, something like that. I think it depends really. If I did it and one person joined in, obviously I would just send them something to say thanks for being my friend and joining in. If there were lots of people, there might be more than one prize. I don't know, it would all needs sort of sorting out and figuring out. But would you just, if you think you would like to join in, and it would mainly be managed via Instagram, I think I would set up a hashtag there. If you think that you would quite like to join in, could you just give me a hint so that I didn't spend ages sorting something out and then nobody wanted to do it, because that would be sad. I don't have a massive following here, and I don't have a massive following on Instagram, and Instagram keeps showing my posts to 3 people, so it's a bit hard work at the minute. But I'm thinking I might do a knit along that had something to do with patchwork inspired knitted garments, because there seem to be a lot around at the moment. I've been thinking about it for a while, partly because I feel I need to kick up the bum to get my heirloom quilt cardie finished, and I know that there's quite a lot of people that have started that project and they've kind of slowed down, and they might like a kick up the bum too, so it might be a way of us all doing it together. But also, and Laura Penrose has done blanket and cushion patterns, and Angela Mowry's just brought out I think it's called Framed, a sweater that has a patchwork inspo. So that's what I'm thinking. I thought it'd be a nice cozy theme for autumn, and it'd be quite open. People could, I think, crochet as well as knit, but you can do garments, you can do accessories, you can do household stuff. So I thought I could pull together, I'd do an episode that pulled together some sort of examples of patterns. I wonder if I am have enough technical know-how to kind of make a bundle on Ravelry, if I could ever go, that people could then refer to. And yeah, that's what I'm thinking, and I would be thinking it'd start sometime in September, like at the beginning of autumn. So just give me a hint if you think that would be a nice thing to do and something to ease us into the change of season. But right now I'm going to let you go and enjoy this season because it seems to finally have arrived. I hope the sun is shining on you where you are, and have a lovely rest of the day. Thanks ever so much. I really appreciate you being here. All right, bye-bye.